Good evening and welcome to this Fairmont Area School Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For roll call this evening, we have all regular board members here, and our student board member, Grace Simpson, is also present. We have our minutes before you. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Julie, second by Mari, to approve the minutes from our last school board meeting, which was held Tuesday, October 24th. Any discussion or clarifications? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. We have an agenda before us. There's one note. We are going to have a difference in the order of presentations, and that will be that Matt Mahoney will present first under the celebrations and school community reports. Any other changes?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan, second by Mari, to approve the school board agenda as offered. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Moving right into celebrations and community reports, we have our activities director, Matt Mahoney, here to talk about fall activities. Or I'm sorry, winter.
Both, little combination. So, good evening. It's good to be here. I did give you guys a packet, so I'll kind of just go through this packet here a little bit, and then there's kind of a little bit of a summary at the end that I'll kind of focus on. But overall, pretty good fall. You can see the numbers that we had there. We had a ton of kids out for a fall activity, about 438 students. And that's just on your activities, not your fine arts. Fine arts on the next page. So overall, great numbers. You know, the girls volleyball had a big uptake this year. Ended up having 105 girls out for volleyball, which was really big. So really good to see. But across the board, and you know, when I look at what other schools are doing, we're right up there with the best of them. So, you know, we have 3 levels. We have 7th and 8th graders, and you know, I think our volleyball, we had to get a little bit of creative and might have to get more creative next year. But overall, we're sitting really well. Our soccer levels, we have 3 levels. So it's good. Just our numbers in general from the fall was really good. Flip over to the next page. It has some fine arts participations. Again, you can look at the band, orchestra, and choir, and it's really good. About 60% of our students are in some type of a band, choir, or an orchestra. I actually referenced it back from last year, and we're right up exactly the same percentage that we were last year. So it's good
I
to
have a
see.
question on
Yep.
that, and I'm sure I should probably be something it'd be nice for you to know before you compiled this, but how many of the music, how many do both music and a sport?
Yep,
In
like
your
the
percentage of
unduplicate.
participation?
And
Who are the ones, what's the percentage of those who participate in just a sport or just the fine arts?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and
No, and like I said,
filter that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about asking that prior
Yeah.
so you could have that information. But I think that would speak for some of these kids because
Yep.
for
There's
them,
a lot
some of
that-
these kids are, it's hard work for them just to do one
Oh yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
Where some are better able to handle
Yeah.
a sport and a fine art or even a couple, fine arts. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting just to see what those numbers are.
yeah. You know, and I didn't add up the actual, like the 196, the 150, and the 193. I mean, you're looking at well over 5. Oh, there it is. Yeah, 539. So there's definitely there's a little bit of crossover, but there's also kids that play in the band or the choir or the orchestra that don't do a sport or activity.
But
Yeah.
that's maybe their interest.
Yep.
Maybe their interest, something
Yep.
else. Maybe they've got a club or something too
Yep.
that they're interested in, and so they don't take that time or don't have
Correct.
that. It takes spectators too to
Oh, yeah.
have a football team
Oh,
and
yeah.
to have a volleyball squad.
Yep.
So those students, you need somebody to cheer too. So
Oh, you bet.
I'm not trying to point on anything.
Nope.
It's just I would be interested to see what those
Yeah.
numbers would be.
I'll go back and look and see what I can come up with,
That would
and I
be
can send it to you
wonderful.
guys.
That would be
Yep.
wonderful.
Yep. And then you can look at the debate mock trial. Those are two activities that are going really well. The school musical, we were able to show the musical today to the student body, and it went really well. The Wizard of Oz, Good Witch was sitting right over there. The mayor of Munchkinland needs a little bit of work, but I think he'll be okay, Mr. Trado. But it was really well. The sets, the designs, the clothing, it's unbelievable how well they do it. So, but 114 kids are participating in that. So,
Is the senior citizen, is
Tomorrow.
that tomorrow afternoon?
tomorrow at 12:30.
12:30, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep. And then then it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:00. So really encourage people to go out and see it. It's a cool deal. So the lion, he was my favorite. So he was animated and he did a great job. So. Flip it over to the winter. The winter, I would say, is probably 80% done. It's not a complete done yet. We still have people signing up. I want to say gymnastics, boys hockey, girls basketball, and girls hockey have all started. So we still have a few more things coming in. But this is kind of a general idea, and the number drops off a little bit, but that's consistent to what we've had in the past compared to the fall. And if you flip it over, I kind of just have a little bit of a fall summary of kind of everything that shook out this year in the fall. Overall, it was a really good fall. And I say that because the football team, the boys soccer, girls tennis, all hosted a first-round section game, which means that they were in the top half of the section. So, we didn't qualify any teams in the state this year, and it's tough to do it. There's a lot of good competition out there, but overall, it was really good. Our cross-country team, we did get Macy to the state tournament and finished fourth. And talking to the coaches, talking to the parents, she ran an extremely well race. They changed the course this year back to the University of Minnesota, and there's a little bit of an incline at the end. And our class was the last class to run it, and kind of a little bit muddy, but Macy did a great job. So anytime you can finish fourth at the state meet, it's pretty good. Talked a little bit about the musical. Couple other little highlights that happened this fall was as our conference, our Big South Conference, we did bring in Belle Plaine. We've been actively searching for another school for the last handful of years. Belle Plaine is a very good fit for us, and I say that because I want to say it's maybe there's 60 students less than Fairmont. So size-wise, competitive-wise, I think it's going to be a great fit for us. Huddle, we did a little research, and one of the things that we came up with is this online streaming, and it is called Huddle. The football program probably first started in 2011, I want to say. We got the basketballs on board. At one time, we had soccer and hockey going, and kind of coming back full steam here. What I can do right now is I can get on my phone. This is what I love about it, and I'm going to show you guys this so you guys can see this. There's an app here, so I can click on this app, and that's our gym right now. So our camera is live in our gym. So all I have to do is I click on the gym, this little blue button here, click on it, and I can go and I can record practice or a game by about 3 different touches of the app. What's really cool about this is then it allows our basketball coaches, our wrestling, volleyball, they can record their practices, they can record their games. They don't need anybody to stream it. It goes directly into their account from their phone. They could be in the coach's locker room 5 minutes after the game, and they could send it to Huddle Assist, which is a program that we now have where nobody has to pay for it, and it'll break all the stuff down. So there's all kinds of different features for every sport. It's a pretty cool process. Brian knows a lot about it, and it's a pretty slick deal. So for what we're getting, it's really cool. We're still working out a few bugs, but overall it's pretty good. We can also do it remotely. So like out at hockey, I was out at hockey last Friday, and I was texting Andy. I'm like, hey, can you see this? And we had one bug, and then came back, and it was online, and only had one complaint about the wobbly of the camera, but pretty good. So some really good stuff here, and we're doing our best because we want to do it right. So we're looking at getting tripods. We're looking at getting hot spots. We're going to get a flex camera that's going to go up for some of the stuff that takes place outside, like soccer. Had my year-end meeting with Laura Olson today, and we're going to try and get a camera at tennis next spring. So a lot of cool things that we can do with this, and I think it's going to be a great addition for us. So. Facility upgrades, some really cool stuff, as you know, has taken place. The football entrance, the gym entrance. I was down at the softball complex yesterday, and the walls are up. So we're trying to get the sheets on the outside of it, so hopefully they can get it covered so before the snow flies. But it looks really good. It's big. I think it's going to be a very good addition for them down there. So. Another cool thing we did is we kind of have a remembrance plaque for some of our former coaches. As you walk into the football entrance, you probably saw Bob Onktrack, Mahoney Field. We put 2 plaques in there. The maintenance guys did a cool job. I kind of call it the birdhouse where they put it in. We'll do one at Herbold Field, and then we'll put another one by the North Gym. So that's kind of some cool stuff. We're going to do some formal coaches evaluation starting this winter. Working on a grant to get some AEDs. It's kind of a cool little project. So I'm going to fill it in, and kind of the goal is to get an AED with every sport, every coach. So, for example, in the spring or in the fall, girls tennis will have one. We'll have one on at soccer fields, football field. We have one down by our gym, and then our cross country can have one as well. So we want to try and get one with every sport. So, and we're close. So that's something that we're working on. Flash, our student group, that'll come after Thanksgiving. There's a big push in the state high school league right now to, with just the competitive in the gym, student contact behavior at games. So I thought we did a good job last year, and we're going to keep going on it this year as well. Big South Conference, I'm taking 12 kids to Redwood on Thursday for a little leadership concert. Conference. We did that last year, so it's pretty good. I did it when I was in high school, so it's a good standing tradition. Just a couple little small things. Bus drivers are still a problem. Have to get creative with what we're doing. Had to push back bus times. We've had to leave early. You name it, we've thought about it. So I work with a lot of good ADs in the area, and they're all understanding because they're kind of in the same boat as we are. So just got to be a little flexible, and we have been. So officials, they've been great. Lower levels, varsities, really didn't have any snags at all this year. So the fall went really well. So looking forward to the winter. It's kind of like you get back on the bike, and away you go. We had our first girls hockey game last Friday. We got one here tonight. So we're looking forward to it. So any questions?
I got one thing for you, Matt. You're just over a year into being a full-time AD for your first time in over a decade.
Yep.
In this role. How has that transition gone? Obviously, that was a district-level decision that we made.
Yeah.
Previously, you were split between the classroom and AD roles. So now you're just over a calendar year into full-time AD work. And before we made that decision, we looked at comparable schools and the number of activities that we host, and it made a lot of sense for us to make that transition for you. So if you just share with the board and anyone listening, like how that transition has gone, and just some general comments.
I love it. It's been really good. From in the AD world, it's hectic. You're taking phone calls, emails, text messages. You're planning for schedules. You're dealing with officials, bus drivers, coaches, parents, student athletes. You're working with administration. Just a lot of flying bullets. And to not have to go to gym class and worry about that, or if I leave for a meeting and have to do sub notes, I have more time. I'm more relaxed. I think I'm way ahead of the game than I've ever been. This past fall, when I first started, way back when, my first 2 years I was in the main office, and after my first 2 years I went down to down in my grandpa's old office. I was there for 2 years, came back up. I was in the office for 2 years, so that's 6. And then like the last 6, I've been back down below. And this fall, I moved back up to the main office. and that's been fantastic. I'm right there with Jane, right next to Chad and Brooke. It's really good. I think our office flow, the new design, the new setup, being an outsider coming back into it, I think it's really good, and Brooke can attest to it. It's, we have working communication right there. So I love it. I love the transition. I love having the time and the energy to do this job full time, because it's a full time job. So I told my wife I got to go to a 5:15 board meeting and another meeting at 5:30, and we drop the puck at 7. So that's the way we do it. So anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney.
All right. Thank you. Yep.
We'll hear from Mr. Brian Willie now concerning the 8th grade leadership course. Oh, I'm sorry. Brooke, you were up first, but.
Good evening. For those who don't know me at home, my name is Brian Willie. I'm a high school social studies teacher here at Fairmont. I've held the role since 2015. I'm here tonight to speak about a new leadership program that we began this fall here at Fairmont Junior Senior High School. Just kind of want to talk a little bit about what we do, and then also kind of the reasoning behind why this all came about. And a lot of it started back in the spring. I was fortunate to be on the strategic planning committee, so I got to see a lot of different feedback from students and community members and families about kind of how they felt the school year was going, but also how they felt inside our building. And one of the things that came out from all that data was students feeling at times they wanted more connection in the building. They wanted a stronger community inside that building. And from having discussions with students inside my classroom, one of the ways that I wanted to help that process was to be a connector. I wanted to connect students from the highest levels of our junior and senior high school to our lower levels. And my thought process was, if we could do that, we could start building community and connection within our building and teaching the cardinal values that we want our kids to all uphold. And so that kind of got my brain thinking in terms of ways I could do this. And one of the things I've been teaching in my class for about the last 2 years is I embed leadership lessons inside my course in like world history in 11th grade. And I've gotten great feedback from kids on that. And they told me I should extend it further. We had done so in our SOAR time when we had academic remediation. I would hold these leadership lessons open to all students, and I got all sorts of great feedback from those kids and great participation. And so I ended up talking with Brooke. I chatted with Andy, trying to find creative ways that we could get this within my schedule, but also open it up where we can make it to an entire grade to make it more streamlined. And one thing I want to say about when I say leadership, the definition that we use for leadership in our classroom and in our building for us in our program is we want leadership to be kids being the best version of themselves possible and leading their own life. That's the definition that we use. So the things that we do in the course in the classroom, we touch on all sorts of topics. Topics such as talking about how do you make friends? What kind of influence do your peers have over you? More personal topics such as how do we create empathy? Anxiety, depression, things that kids are dealing with on those ends. We talk about gratitude, the power of regret. I mean, we talk about some very heavy-hitting concepts, but we also at the same time talk about some skill-building stuff too, like building friendships and giving feedback and all sorts of things like that. But the secret to the sauce, I guess you could say, with our success so far this year has been my student helpers. We've been offering students at the high school, juniors and seniors, they can take a course called Servant Leadership. And by doing so, they'll earn credit for being the people who are inside this classroom with me. I'll usually teach the lesson, but then they go in and they work on the skills with the students. And after they go in with the students, later on in the week, they go back and they mentor. They check in with those students several times, see how they're doing, talk about some of the concepts that we do. And then once every month, we have what we call an application and discussion lesson, where we take some of these things that we've been talking about, these skills. Like, for example, this month, we're talking about motivation and goal setting. And they get in and they start talking individually with these students in small groups about what some of their goals are, what their motivations are. And that's building a very strong community inside our classrooms. And the cool part is, and I wish those students were here to be able to talk, but they're busy individuals, the ones I have in my classroom, they're involved in everything. But the cool thing is, they're finding now when they walk the hallways, they see these students, and these students look up to them, and they're greeting each other in the hallway. They're showing up at their extracurricular activities. And that community is being built. and it's being built very naturally by these kids, and they're seeing the power of their actions on one another. And ultimately, we want to grow this program. We want to find ways to, we're doing it right now with just 8th grade, so we go into every single 8th grade study hall with my group of 12. I think my group of 12 might grow to 14 or 16 in the spring of junior, senior mentors. I hope to make it bigger in the following years. And ultimately, if we can get this thing rolling, we would love to be able to bring it into the elementary school, so that way when those students step in as 7th graders, they are already a part of the fabric of our high school, and that can make the transition hopefully easier, but then also make this community stronger. So I just want to thank Brooke and Andy for the opportunity. I want to thank the kids that I work with. I have 12 great ones. We're always looking for more, but again, I'm just looking to serve and trying to connect people, and this was one of the opportunities that I was given to do so. So, thanks for the opportunity to do that, and it's a great passion of mine, but the privilege has been working with these kids. So any questions from you guys?
I'd just like to say thank you. This is a wonderful program, and thank you for taking the initiative to start this among our students. I think the concept of starting with the individual and then building it to the small groups and then the greater community of the school is fantastic. And I'm so glad that you're doing this and that it's successful with those who are participating, and it seems to be growing. I think it's fantastic. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Get these students started at 8th grade, what can they do then at 9th grade? And then you've got another group coming in on the 8th grade, so you're 8th to 9th grade. And like you said, though, you're opening up for juniors, seniors as well. But it just takes a spark. And then before you know it, you may have a forest fire. A good forest fire. But I mean, honestly, it's a great idea, and thank you for doing that for our students.
I think your idea, Brian, to expand into this building is a smart one too. One of the things that I know my daughter, when she was going to 7th grade, there's like, this building is full of people I don't know, or those people are older, they drive to school, and it's kind of scary. And by having a district with 2 buildings, we have some advantages, but we also have some disadvantages. And I think you're leaning right into some of the disadvantages of it being kind of big and hard to wrap your head around. And meeting it in the classroom one-on-one like that is just a brilliant idea. If you need any resources from us to help grow that program, don't be afraid to come back and ask, because I think that the type of thing that would separate our school from many others. So I really appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, I really like the way you go about saying that to the young people. To be a leader is to lead your own life, because I think that was something that was really misunderstood by me when I was that age. We thought that we just had to do what the adults say, whereas in this fashion you're putting the steering wheel in their hands, if you will, and showing them that that's why you try to do the right thing, not just because we say so, but here's the result. And when you see those results, it becomes a lot more positively reinforced inside you. So I think that's a fantastic way to go about it, and I'm sure it'll provide great results for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Brooke Schultz.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. So actually, the second program that I'm going to talk about is the Cardinal Buddies program that we have with our 7th grade students. And actually, after Brian had approached me about the 8th grade, it was kind of like, how can we do something also to provide that mentorship for our 7th grade students? A little historical context, the Cardinal Buddies program had been established at Fairmont Junior Senior High School for some time, and just due to a lot of changing factors, it had kind of gone to the wayside for a few years. And this summer, when I approached a few teachers, they were really excited to bring that program back. And so our Cardinal Buddies program, we work with our 7th graders, and then it's been kind of our English department with our upper class students, and they meet monthly. It's been actually about twice a month here as the school year has gotten started. And they pair together, they engage in team building activities, they foster really a sense of camaraderie and friendship between those groups of students. The older students serve as mentors, provide guidance and support to the 7th graders. They've done a lot of different things like playing games, making memes. They did a thankfulness banner that's hanging up. They have secret handshakes, so when they can see each other in the hallway, they have a secret handshake. And last month they participated in some theater and stage games, and it was a really neat thing to see. The buddies have fun, but it's developing communication, collaboration, creativity. It's been very, very successful so far as well. So again, we do this like once or twice a month. This fall they did our upper class students talked to the 7th graders about just performing arts center expectations as we had like all of the homecoming festivities, and they went and modeled it, and it was them presenting, our older students presenting that to our 7th graders. They taught them like the battle cry, and they practiced the battle cry because coming into the Pep Fest, they don't know those things. So just some really neat opportunities, and there's been some really great feedback from that. We have, like I said, our English department's been instrumental. We have a community volunteer coming in, a former teacher that's also supporting this, and it's really neat. So we also are looking to grow and just keep working on that.
We heard a lot of positive feedback in the student council listening sessions about this.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful. It sounds like they really enjoy it.
Was on both groups' list of things to keep and move forward. So awesome.
I would just add before you sit down, these ideas really came to fruition. I mean, Brian brought that idea to Brooke probably weeks after she was hired in her current role, and then the Cardinal Buddies followed shortly thereafter. So, Brooke, for you, I just want to commend you for prioritizing character development in our youngest learners in the 7th and 8th grade as they come into that building, as they build that connection, as they grow as learners, because our job as educators in an educational system is to help develop our students as whole people, and to focus on that character. And obviously these two things that you and Brian have shared about are laying the foundation for our kids to continue to grow year in year and establish those skills and build that into the fabric of who we are, and what we do as a school system is just fantastic. So thank you for
Absolutely.
taking that initiative and making that a priority.
And our faculty members have just really stepped up and embracing both programs, so it's exciting. So they've got the ball and they're going with it. So it's awesome.
Good.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Tradow. He's going to present for American Education Week.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I'm going to follow suit with the City Council, who acknowledged this week as American Education Week at their regular meeting last evening. So I have the American Education Week proclamation. Whereas American Education Week is an opportunity to recognize the accomplishments and the needs of our local public schools, and whereas our public schools have enabled generations of American families to build upon the lessons of the past to achieve the dreams of tomorrow, and whereas American system of public education relies not only on the skills and dedication of teachers, school administrators, and educational support staff, but also on the encouragement and support of the entire community. And whereas teachers in the Fairmont area are joining teachers, students, and educational organizations around the nation in special activities in honor of American Education Week. Now therefore, I, Andy Tradow, Superintendent of Fairmont Area Schools, along with employees of Fairmont Area Schools, am asking parents, students, and civic leaders to join in the nation's annual salute to public education during the week of November 13th through the 17th, 2023, and do hereby proclaim this week to be American Education Week in the city of Fairmont. Additionally, our local teacher groups are doing a great job of promoting activities with our students and within our buildings, and we've had local community organizations drop off tokens of appreciation, whether that be snacks or other things the last couple days. So thank you for that community support. And to obviously, our teachers, our students, our families, our community, we wouldn't exist without them. We are here because of that collaborative effort. So thank you. It goes out there as well.
Thank you. Now we'll hear the superintendent's report and calendar.
Move right in. As I start every superintendent's report with our enrollment report, while the buildings numbers are differential, we have the exact same number of students in our schools today as we did a year ago, at 1,711 total students. So that's a solid trend. That stability is great to see. And obviously, we want to see that for years to come. Some buildings and grounds updates. Over a year after our initial occupancy of our CTE building, we're still going through final punch list items that are being completed, but that list is getting shorter and we're continuing to move through that. Continuing to work on exterior lighting projects. Some signage is still yet to go up on the spectator entrance. It was supposed to be installed this week. It is yet to have been put up, so we're waiting on that. As Matt mentioned, the Cardinal Park Fieldhouse project is continuing to progress, obviously with the goal of enclosing that before the winter weather takes hold is a goal there. We're also beginning to research replacement equipment for the east playground at Fairmont Elementary School. A couple years ago, we replaced the north side playground equipment. This is a part of both long-term facilities maintenance, and we're also looking at the potential of using some of our remaining ESSER funds to complete that project as well. Additionally, planning has begun for the scheduled gymnasium floor maintenance at the junior senior high school next summer. Wood floors typically need to be resurfaced every 12 to 15 years. We're at that life expectancy, so that'll be taking place. So it may have a new paint job. It is not a new floor. As part of the process, it gets sanded all the way down and then repainted and resealed to improve the longevity of that. So a year from now, when people come into our gyms, it'll look like we have a brand new floor, but it's simply a resurfacing project. Before we do that, we will be repainting the gymnasium as well. There's some of the original paint back to the early 1970s when the school was built.
We're going to keep it yellow?
The yellow and orange paint above the walkways will be covered up. So that will be a part of the process, but so that's part of the maintenance plan. And then Tyler's already beginning to organize summer 24 work. So that begins now to line up contractors and try to get ahead of the game, and he does a phenomenal job with that. One unique thing that we recently have supported as a school district, our local Fairmont Lakes Foundation has submitted some grant work for some projects on our runoff areas into our lakes that would inhabit that with natural vegetation. There's great opportunities for partnership with the school there. We were happy to support that and look forward to hearing that. I know, Mari, you've had some dealings with the Lakes Foundation, and we'll look forward to updates on that as they come. Additionally, as we get into the end of October, beginning of November, we don't like to talk about inclement weather, but we do meet with our Martin County Roads Department as well as Minnesota Motor Bus. We completed that meeting a week ago to start looking at plans. Dave Hearn at Minnesota Motor Bus has done a great job of condensing and streamlining our morning bus routes where there's fewer roads, fewer rural routes traveled, but still being able to serve our students as we have. One thing that will allow, it will give us somewhere between 15 to 30 additional minutes to make those morning decisions, where we will have to have those made in the past. We would have to have those made somewhere around 5:45 a.m. Before that first bus left. We've bought ourselves, or Dave has bought us in that decision-making process close to a half hour in making that weather-related decision as we listen to information from the National Weather Service, communicate with the Martin County Roads plows to see what they're seeing in different parts of the county, and then driving the roads ourselves between Dave and I. So trying to use as much information as we can, but whether we like it or not, we like to be prepared, and they're the best plans we hope we don't have to use. Strategic planning, we continue to work through some of those details. We're going to bring that back to the forefront at a future work session. And then Matt, talked about activities. Our next board meeting will be November 28th after the Thanksgiving break, right back here in the Bud Room.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Trado? Great. We will move on to our financial business. Donations and grants. Dan?
Yes, we have a donation being offered as signified in Appendix A and allowed by Minnesota statutes. Fairmont Area Schools Board of Education has been offered grant in the amount of $12,500 from the Valero Benefit for Children grant for the robotics program. I move that we gratefully accept the donation as offered by Valero.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan, a second by Julie. Any discussion?
There was a nice write-up in the newspaper about this, or at least I saw that. That's where I saw it at. I'm sure others saw it there too.
All right, no further discussion. We'll move to roll call vote. Jen?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mike?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Mari?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. And we have our financial reports and bills. Jessica?
Yes, so you have the wire transfer sheet in your packet from October 19th, 2023 to November 8th, 2023. Just our normal transfers out of our general banking account, nothing out of the ordinary there. And then we also have our bill payment for today's date. Just a couple of the items that I'd like to point out. We did have a couple of progress payments to Larson Contracting Central for that Fieldhouse concession project. That check number is 69194. And there's a couple of different pay apps in there spanning their work so far, totaling $124,506.23. And then the other item in here is a check to Teaching Strategies. The preschool and school readiness was able to purchase some new curriculum that they hadn't gotten new stuff in a couple of years, and so that will be a good addition to their classes. Do you have any other questions? Nope.
If there aren't any questions for Jessica on these wire transfers or bills, I would make a motion to approve the wire transfers for October 19, 2023 to November 8, 2023, and the payment of November 14, 2023 bills.
Thank you. We have a motion by Julie, second by Mari. Do we have any discussion or questions?
One thing I want to point out that I noticed in the bill or in the payments as well, the one to Minnesota West is quite a substantial number, and that's such a great asset for our students because those are in essence deferred post-secondary education costs that we as a public school are able to offer for our students. So this is just the PSEO number. It does not include the deferred costs for our students to gain college credits for college in the schools. So when you combine those and you're getting into, multiple levels of six figures, I think that's very impressive and a very, just a great asset that our students have access to, that they get to take part in to offset for our students that have post-secondary aspirations.
It's to help the families, the students in their future.
Yep.
It's an investment.
Absolutely.
And so we're very fortunate that we are able to provide as much as we can, and that we have students that take advantage of those courses as well. I know we can't do every course, but we try to meet the students' needs as much as we can. The students, I know that is something that was brought up in our listening session this last week as well, was that, they would like to have more. And they understood that, we're limited as to what teachers that we have currently teaching on our staff to what we can afford or not afford, but that we can even provide for the students to have the classes. But we are very fortunate to be able to pass that savings on to our students, but also give them that extra knowledge too.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to old business, we have a policy before us, which is today the second reading. Jen?
Let's see, so the online instruction, remind me, Julie, what I researched the other two. to refresh my memory. The
This is
online
just
instruction.
a new policy for our district. Just to cover online instruction altogether. Previously, we'd had bits and pieces on different policies and that. So MSBA and through our legislatures and that gave the opportunity to develop and draft a brand-new policy. And so this is being brought to us as a second reading. We took it last week, looked at it, and if we don't have any corrections or anything from the board, we will then vote today then to establish this as a new policy for our district.
All right, so I offer a motion to approve the adoption of the new policy 624, online instruction.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan, a second by Julie, to approve the adoption of policy 624, which is a new policy, online instruction. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And old business policy revisions. Jen?
So we're recommending the policy committee that we approve policy 709, student transportation, and policy 806, crisis management. There were some changes just requiring the trainings needed for the new and current students with bus safety in the student transportation policy. And the crisis management was more so geared toward what we have to do with active shooter drills, that we will not do those and do lockdowns, and it explains the difference between the two of those, so, in the policy.
Well, and that we would not have the students actually doing those, but yet the staff and that
Correct.
would be made aware and be able to, go through those practices or those drills, so.
Any,
So I offer a motion to approve the policy 709 and policy 806.
I'll second it.
thank you. We have a motion by Jen, second by Julie, to approve those policies. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you, motion carries. We are moving on to Appendix E, consideration of Hunt Farm sale.
As folks know, we've talked about the opportunities with the Hunt Farm, both in previous open sessions of the school board and in, I think, 2 closed sessions of the full school board, and Dan, I want to say at least 3 operations committee meetings over the last maybe half year. So after all that due diligence, I'm going to make a motion that the board enter it into a resolution authorizing the sale of the property, and I will now read that resolution as my motion. Whereas the district owns the property located near Interstate 90, Bixby Road, parcel number, ID number 160310770, whereas in Martin County, Minnesota, whereas the district ownership of the property the district took ownership of the property in 1990 via a donation from William and Margaret Hunt, whereas the Hunts made the unrestricted donation of the property to the district on the condition that the annual income from the lease or sale of the property be used for the William and Margaret Hunt Foundation Fund, whereas the district has used a portion of the property for school purposes and leased the majority of the property for agricultural purposes. Whereas the school board has determined that it wishes to retain ownership of the portion of the property used for school purposes and sell the remainder of the property as the remainder of the property is not needed for school purposes, therefore be it resolved. District administration and legal counsel are authorized and directed to take all steps necessary to subdivide the property parcel into the portion of the property to be used for school purposes and the portion to be sold. For the portion of the property to be sold, the school board has determined that this property is not needed for school purposes. Number 2, district administration and legal counsel are authorized and directed to hire an auctioneering company to market and sell the portion of the property that will be sold. Any final agreement for the sale shall be brought back to the school board for final approval. Number 3, following the sale of the property, district administration is authorized and directed to maintain and use the proceeds from the sale consistent with the terms of the Hunt's donation and in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. So that is my motion.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mike and a second by Dan to approve the resolution that is labeled Appendix E for the sale of property. Any discussion?
I have been against this sale from the first time that I was made aware that it was being put up or even being considered to be sold. I still will remain to be against that because I just believe that we are selling this property that was so graciously given to us. I understand that right now interest rates are higher and you believe you can keep these funds invested. But as we all know, interest rates ebb and tide. They come and they go high, they go low. Same as the rent values, same as the land values. We heard our realtor the night that he spoke to us, and he said we've already missed the high price for the property, that we could wait till the funds, the time, we all know they cycle and we know that these funds could come back. So I just will stand by my decision and vote no for this property sale.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I guess I would say that the amount of due diligence that the board and staff have put into this is substantial. And I think when I said earlier we've talked about it for 6 months, that's I think maybe even longer than that. It's a very sellable piece of land. We are keeping a pretty substantial portion of it for educational purposes, that part which essentially is on the west side of the property, which I think is important. I remember going out to that property in junior high for field trips, and that's something that our students should be able to continue to do after the sale, so that's not impacted by it. The reality is the revenue that we receive from this is probably 2% of its value, and the revenue that we could easily obtain from this with 10-year T-bills that are incredibly safe for 10 years would be over double that, if not nearly triple. And I can't deny that amount of extra income to be poured into the scholarships and into the programming that we are using this for. That's going to make a difference. And for me, the number one thing I was concerned about is that this continues to be a protected fund. This continues to be the Hunt fund as it is currently. And our legal counsel has assured us that that is the proper way to do it. Not only is that how it's going to be, that's how it should be encouraged to be. And so with that understanding from legal counsel that this continues to be the segregated separate fund dedicated for the purposes that the gift was originally given, I think it's more than enough to convince me. And a fun fact, in reviewing all the documentation on this thing going back to the late 80s, I see my dad's name was on there as a member of the school board. And so I kind of told him today at work that it was kind of full circle, that when it first came to the school way back when, he was on the board, and now a part of it anyway, not all of it, is going to be going back out. He said that's probably the right choice. Not that he has any authority on it, but I thought that was kind of a fun little full circle thing. It's been in the district for quite some time, and we're going to keep part of it, but I think this is the right thing to do, at least in my perspective.
I think it's important to reiterate that, just as was stated in the resolution, that when the Hunts made the donation, it was donated in an unrestricted way, that the income could be used for lease or sale of the property. And as a board, it's our consideration to determine what way this best meets those specifications from the Hunts and best meets the needs of our students.
I'll say I was against it at first. You know, it's kind of embedded into your blood growing up in a farming community not to sell the farmland. But after all of the investigation on what we can do investment-wise with this money and seeing what can come out of this financially for the scholarships and for the students, it definitely changed my mind. I think it's going to be a good thing.
I will second that too. I was in the same situation because once you sell it, it's gone.
Mhm.
And I I didn't think financially we were in necessary, but then now when I saw the restrictions for what the profits can be used for.
And one thing that I've seen recently in my job, or heard, of course, because it's the radio, I hear all kinds of commercials for farmland for sale right now. So it's the time of the year where it happens ordinarily. So there is still a pretty good demand in my mind. And I think this is a way to best utilize an asset that we've had, that we're very fortunate to have. And obviously, you know, land, they don't make any more of it, is the old saying, and it is something that's very valuable. It's a place that doesn't have the land that we own as the school board. It doesn't have a homestead. It's never been a home to anybody. It's been cropland, you know, this whole time. So it's not like we're displacing anybody or changing a big part of the character of that area. It's just us simply trying to find the best way to utilize this asset that we have. We get more money out of it. That means money for vocational, technical, agriculture programs. We don't have to go searching for those. If we make this, we play our cards right here, we will have a good little nest egg for those future things when it comes time to update equipment in the vocational. When we're talking about the saws and the the heating and air conditioning things, whenever those things get updated and we're teaching these kids these things, we want to be able to teach them on up-to-date equipment. I see this as a way that we can fund those future purchases, a way to send kids to FFA conventions, a way to pay for just lots of those extra things and just be able to do more of it.
Any further discussion or comments? All right, because this is a resolution, we'll take a roll call vote. Jen?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mike?
Aye.
Julie?
No.
Mari?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. All right, we will move on to our next order of business, which is resignations. It's in our personnel. Julie?
We have a high school paraprofessional, Courtney Williams, who has resigned from her position. Courtney has served in our district since 2021. So with that, I will offer a motion to approve the resignation of Courtney Williams, high school paraprofessional, effective November 1st, 2024.
Second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Julie, second by Mari.
Is it the 2023, or is she resigning next year?
23.
Okay.
Good catch.
All right. Thank you.
I was only half paying attention. That was the part I paid attention to.
Judy's
it's
always
not 24 yet.
Judy's always so far ahead of the game.
Well,
that,
maybe she's just a planner.
Quarter's a planner.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Employment, Dan?
In Appendix F, you have the schedule of the winter sports and activities coaches for basketball, wrestling, gymnastics, hockey, and dance team. You'll see that a few of the positions are contracted through our co-op agreement with Martin County West. The rest, we have a great amount of stability in the coaches that we have. We have just a few new ones that are listed in the red ink in the appendix. We appreciate all the fantastic work that all these folks do to help out with our sports programs and our fine arts as well. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the winter sports extra duty salary schedule in Appendix F.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Dan, second by Jen to approve the winter sports extra duty salary schedule as presented in Appendix F, the updated version. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, motion carries. And we will move on to board committee reports. Mari, CER?
Our last meeting was October 2nd. There was no November meeting. Stephanie updated us on they'll be doing an annual report / audit. As far as old business, the registration process, they're still looking at new ways to do it online. ARUX and our school also offers some other options. She has reached out to other CER offices to see what they're using for their online registrations. The Firefighter Relief Association has been paying for T-shirts, and they will continue to do that. The Nortec Health and Wellness Fair was the same day as National Community CER Day, November 9th. They did a lot of online Facebook promotions for discounts and some free registrations. They're hoping to possibly get some of the offerings into Friday folders, and they're looking into things like that. They also said they're going to try to get the website updated so it's a little easier to use for people. The winter sports scheduling is going up. They're having a little bit of interesting time with as popular as Cardinal Prime is, to getting those spaces and the kiddos moved around, and everybody making sure that when they need gym time, they get it in the system. The after-school STEM activity was very popular. They're also looking at some extra money offered from the legislation for people with disabilities, increasing those offerings. So next meeting will be December 14th.
All right, thank you, Mari. Any questions? Policy committee meeting, Jen?
We met on October 25th to continue our going through all of the stack of policies that we have. We've gotten through quite a few, but still have more to go. Some of them were referenced in the meeting earlier, the ones that we went through and proved tonight. We've been meeting a couple times a month for these meetings. The next meeting, I think, is unclear at this point, trying to fit it into our busy schedules, and with holidays coming up. So we will figure that out and meet again.
Thank you. Teacher negotiation meetings. Mike?
Yes, ongoing. We've had 3, most recently last night. We're working, there's 3 members from the board, a couple of members of the administration, and 3 or 4 members from the teachers negotiation team. They've been at all the meetings. We usually start with, and have started with, tweaks to language. Most of these things are mutually agreed and requested things. Sometimes there's some language clarification. We've made, I think, pretty good progress, and when we've come to an agreement, we sign off on it. There's a number of those that have already happened. Obviously, the big kahuna is the financial package negotiations, and we have exchanged numbers from both sides. One of the hard things with such a complex formula and a tier contract is that we both sides of the bargaining table need to be on the same page with how we're calculating the numbers. And I think, it's not like vegetables and fruit. Like, we need to be fruit, we need to be apples, and we need to be the same kind of apples. And it kind of occurred to us last night that maybe we were very close to understanding, but we were kind of not necessarily understanding each other. And so we're kind of regrouping to make sure that we are on the same page and using the same math formula, so to speak, on how we're calculating it, because it's important that we're not, if we're not understanding that core starting spot from the same position, then you can get really mixed signals in a negotiation. We kind of started going down that road, and then we kind of realized last night, hey, whoa, we're not actually speaking the same language on this. So both sides are going back, regrouping. I think Jessica's showing, we're showing them how we're calculating things. And I think once we get aligned on that, there should be a pretty good pathway. It's a good negotiation, the good people at the table. A lot of them have a lot of experience, and there's a lot of trust in the room. And we're trying we're trying to keep it moving forward. Our goal is to get it done as soon as we can, but there's no rushing these processes. Especially when it gets really complicated when you get into the weeds. Like if you move this lever over here just a little bit, it changes it way over here. And it's hard to do that in real time. That's why we use spreadsheets and things like that to try to figure it out. So from my perspective, and Nicole and Jen, you've been there. I think despite it taking a long time, I feel like we are making progress, and we are moving towards I think, a pretty happy resolution for everybody. It's just, we want to make sure that we do it right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mike. Julie, the board, the high school student council listening session?
Yes, I was not able to attend the earlier session. I met with the senior high school students, so that'd be the 9th to 12th grade. We discussed some things that had made changes that we had made through our district from last year's meeting. Talked about building safety, mental health support, teacher presence in the hallways, in the activities, and that. Some bathroom activities, things that had changed in there. We have developed a reporting form for students to use, and that's on the website for the students to have access at any time, to submit anytime, and they can do that anonymously. They've created some new clubs, and there's some better translation documents. We used to have everything just basically English, and then we would think about on different language changes and stuff, or making it possible. Now everything we are trying to do, when we do make a new document or something to be, we're trying to put all those translations all at the same time. Some things that didn't happen this year that had happened previously, there's no SOAR groups. The hyperdoc awareness, outside seating spaces at the high school, we did have those in place for the elementary buildings, but we did not get those in place for the high school, so that's coming up yet. And also the water filtration filling systems. That is no changes in that. We're going to keep the service window. The kids like the changes that was made in the high school office about the service window. The passing time, there is TV notifications in the hallways and in some common areas that students know where to look, in the lunchroom and that, where things kind of remind of things that are happening in that. College and the school courses, the flex system, around the world lunches that are being provided from our food service department, where they are taking a month and sometimes just one times a month or one time a week, but offering different foods that are specific for a different region of the world.
I was shocked at how much they liked the food. Like, they really stressed how much they liked that around the world
Absolutely.
food thing,
And
which is great to hear.
And I think it's just the idea that, for some kids, sometimes it's the elementary kids just because they're new. You got to try something so many times before you really like it. And sometimes those kids, now that they are a senior high, maybe they've already had that 11, 12 times and they've done it. But yes, the more times that we give them the opportunity to try different foods and that, I'm really impressed that they are welcoming that idea and that. And they just talked about how much it was appreciated. And to share that knowledge that it's so appreciated with our food service as well. Let's see, where am I at? Staff in the hallways. They're appreciative of the extra staff members that are taking turns and a rotating basis of different areas in the buildings. Cardinal Community Days, they discussed that. We also talked about the reporting forms again, the Farewell Fridays, the Cardinal Buddies we discussed. Things that they want to do less of is the e-hall pass. I'm not 100% how that works, but the students brought up some glitches and that for example, some of the substitute teachers don't always have the same access that the classroom teachers have, and so they find that it is kind of hard for them to use the system because of the changing of the staff members and that. That's just one
But they did come
example.
up with a good option for that. If they can't get a temporary password to log in as a sub, that, maybe go old school and have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
and keep
Right.
it copied.
They did have, you're
Yeah.
right, they did have that. Physical altercations, teacher administered finals, they were teacher administrated finals. of course, nobody likes having a comprehensive final, I believe, is kind of what I took from the students. But I believe that every class has a different basis or a need to have the type of final that, is desired or that needs to show the students making some progress in that. And so that is just a suggestion for the students. We just listened to the students. We did not make any changes in that and just listened to what they had to say with that. They wanted less lunch restrictions. They wanted to make the bathrooms more welcoming. I did encourage, or I did think was very interesting, and I know the ones who also listened to that were some of the students had brought some ideas that they found on Pinterest and different social media sites of how to make a public bathroom in our schools more welcoming to other students and things to do in that. And so, we encourage them to look through that and maybe work through their groups and that to do, bring some things forth and develop then. They would like to have more passing time going to classes. Of course, we made them know that if we increase the passing time, that also increase the time of the school day. But so we'll keep on discussing that, see what we can do to see if we can meet everybody's needs. But sometimes we just can't meet everybody's needs. Sometimes we have to give and sometimes we have to take. So more student tutoring. They're very welcoming and happy to be assisting their other classmates, their other students, upperclassmen, lowerclassmen, and that to help them be successful. More conversations related to mental health. We discussed that. Of course, there was just a offering on Monday night prior to the meeting that we had with the students that was really based on mental health and making that awareness and making it okay to talk about mental health. One time, I know when I was in school, nobody talked about it. And so sometimes when you need to talk about it so that it becomes more of a common knowledge and something that you're not afraid to talk about. More trash cans, they did request, want more of. We discussed this 8-hour day versus 7-hour day. Not that we did not make any decisions or even structured how we do it. We just would say the pros and cons, we'll discuss this, and that's how it's maybe going to be. And then also some more awareness months. So like 1 month would be mental health awareness as an example, or cardinal awareness, and just different things. But they had just some ideas, and we suggested then to take that through the student council as well to make those awareness months. But that's all I have, and this is, like I said, this is just all that I took on the senior high meetings or the students that we met with. So anybody who has anything on the junior high, please feel free.
I would just add, a lot of the junior high feedback was very similar with their experiences. So just to echo what Julie already shared, I think it's great to, the main goal of this is for you as board members to stay connected with our students. A lot of the responses, as I moderate those conversations, is to encourage the kids to take these ideas and things back to their building principals, because their building principals are the ones that are in the managerial roles to be able to make those decisions, where the board members, you appreciate knowing like where we're allocating resources, and as you're approving funds and you see things on there for different supplies and things like that's where that role comes into place. So
to that end, I thought vast majority of their requests weren't expensive requests. Like the amount of resources that would need to be, doled out to do a lot of that would be pretty nominal. And they really did a good job. They many times had a complaint and a solution. It wasn't just a list of grievances. It was, we don't like this. Here's how we'd like it to be better. Here's an idea we had to fix a problem we have. Here's things we don't want you to get rid of, and here's why we want you to keep them. It was, I don't know if they were prepped to be full circle on that, but everything they said had a reason and support behind it. And
they weren't prepped. I think it's just the quality of the students that we have, and Grace was a part of it. I mean, they do a great job of articulating themselves. They do a great job of articulating themselves because of their families, because of our teachers and the jobs that they do, and just we have great kids, great students that are developing that skill in these conversations to advocate for themselves. And I do have notes, as Brooke is still sitting here, that will be part of our future administrative discussions as I meet with her and Chad tomorrow
and I-
morning. So that's on the
But I
list.
think you started the meeting, Andy, kind of going through with them all of the things that they had told us last time that have now become reality, and it was a pretty lengthy list. I would expect the next time we meet with them, there'll be progress on a lot of the things that they told us
Yeah.
last week. I hope that there is. Brooke?
Grace, do you have anything to add?
Go ahead and.
We appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy days. I like it means a lot to us, like to have you guys hear what we have to say about the school and like getting the student perspective on what we see important and what we want to improve on. So we just really appreciate you guys, and we're excited for our next meeting.
Thank you. I feel that the student meetings are probably one of our most valuable meetings because as a board, it shows us the impact that our policies and our staffing and our funding decisions have on those who we are here to serve. And so I appreciate the students being willing to talk and to tell the board what they observe, what they feel, and how their learning experience is within the walls of our schools. So thank you. And this week is the elementary student lunch/listening session. So thank you to all the board members that are able to attend, and we look forward to continuing that throughout the school year at both buildings. Any further discussion?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.